Okay. All right, here we go again. My name's Wayne Schultz with Ettore Products. This is our, I don't know, third or fourth attempt here just to kind of open the community up to questions and answers for Ettore window cleaning. Joined here with Jacob Wallace with ABC Window Cleaning. And, we're obviously going to have a dialogue about really whatever you guys want to talk about. That's part of it. We've got a couple things we'll start, but for the most part, this is a forum to ask the professionals in the industry. And if we don't have the answer immediately, we'll certainly have it through the process. So those of you who have been through this before and listened, my name is Wayne Schultz with Ettore. I'm executive vice president of the company, been here for 15 years or so. Ettore has been around since 1936, the quality leader in the window cleaning tools marketplace. And, we can talk more about that. And again, I'm joined with Jacob Wallace, second generation of ABC window cleaning that, we together as a company, I'll let him kind of tell the history more than me, but I know together in the industry, work together to make sure that they got their start in the industry, and now they're kind of a force to be reckoned with, which is to the Wallace's credit.
That's right.
To all of that. So that's really good. So Jacob, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah. So thanks, Wayne. Thanks, Ettore, for having us on. It's always fun to do things like this together. So like Wayne said, I'm Jacob Wallace. My parents started ABC Window Cleaning Supply just shy of 30 years ago. So they were working as night janitors, cleaning office buildings at night. And they eventually segued into selling janitorial equipment while also servicing the accounts that they were cleaning. And after a little bit, they decided that was the side of things that they liked better. They eventually specialized into window cleaning equipment as opposed to generalized janitorial equipment. And ABC Window Cleaning Supply was born. And so we've been growing ever since. And I think, let's see, like 6 years ago, we opened our second location in North Carolina. Our headquarters, where I'm based out of, is in Denver, Colorado. So we ship from those two locations. My parents, Chris and Linda, both still work in the business full-time. And then my brother, Josh, works out of our North Carolina branch. So a lot like Ettore, we feel sort of like kindred spirits in that both are these multi-generational family companies. So it's really cool to get to talk through some window cleaning topics with y'all.
Yeah. And, as it talked, I know we have talked in person many times at different events or shows. And that's one thing that, I don't know, that's unique, I think, about this industry is exactly what you just described, that we have family generations that go back. And I know your dad and mom pretty well. Not as well as some. I haven't known them for 30 years, but I have for 15. I think you were what, like 7 or 8 then, something like that,
That's, well, no, let's see. Somebody just mistook me for a 19-year-old the other day. And if I shave, I look 14, but I'm actually 32. So let's see. I would have been 17 when I first met you, 16 or 17. Yeah.
And I think that's the part of the industry is, we've watched you grow up from 17 to now. And obviously you're doing that and, met a few girlfriends and other things that I won't go too deep into.
Please.
On the internet.
It's not a topic of this video.
But no, and that's what's great about this industry is we know each other, we care about each other. If something happens, we take care of each other. And that's, I know I've said that personally to you and your family and stuff before and to others, but I think that's the beauty of why we like this industry so much is it's close-knit family.
Yeah, totally. Especially over the last few months that's come out. But even before that, I absolutely agree.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of going down the list here till some of the questions start popping in. But one of the most popular tools we have, I happen to have one here. I don't normally do that, but is our Backflip. This is the 10-inch. We have 3 different sizes, and we'll talk about that more as this thing goes on. But I know you're doing a kind of a giveaway contest thing related to those that are there. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, we're going to give away some backflips. We're giving away 3 total during this video. And entering super easy. All you have to do is ask us a question. So we'll randomly pick 3 people who asked us a question. We'll direct message you and ask you for your address, and we will send you a backflip, whatever size you want, and we can do brass or stainless steel. So totally up to you.
That's awesome. So, and I know that invitation's gone out, but it's a good segue into. So, anybody have any questions out there? Fire them away, even if you think they're silly.
Yeah.
If you actually know either one of us, that's probably better in our wheelhouse anyway. So go ahead.
Anything other than previous girlfriends is fine.
That's true.
Bring it on.
Yeah. Your brother's probably going to throw one of those out there. Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, we'll ignore any questions from Josh if they come through. So the backflip did update somewhat recently.
Yeah.
What is it that changed about it?
Yeah. So the backflip in general, it's got kind of a long history. Before I go too much into that, we talk about kind of our product strategy. We're, as you guys all know, we've been around for, since 1936, whatever that's 86 years, something like that, 87. And actually even a little bit before that. And, we make window cleaning tools. We invented the squeegee as we know it with the blade, and we can talk about that in other times or if you have a question about it. But all of the tools that we manufacture are manufactured for window cleaners. They're not tools that we find and go, hey, I think we can sell this. Let's pick the window cleaner. It's literally they're designed for the window cleaner doing windows in various different things. And we take feedback a lot. We do those things. And so years ago, I don't actually have the exact date, but it's probably in the 70s, we came up with this design backflip, which is essentially, I don't know if you can back up a little bit. So you got 2 different tools, a scrubber and a squeegee. They nest together. You can lock into this position, which we call kind of a one pass. I don't have a piece of glass here, but you can scrubber and squeegee it all at the same time without having to do 2 steps. You can flip it around and do it this way, where you scrub it this way and then flip it over and do it that way. And obviously you have the 2 individual ones. You can work like you do with any scrubber and squeegee. Basically, when you're working with it, it's 4 tools in one. And again, we've had it. At one point it was a little bulkier, a little thicker. And so what we do, instead of reinventing the wheel every so many years and putting different color over molded rubber or changing the angle or doing some different things, we just make our tools better and take feedback from the window cleaners, use them ourselves in various positions and find better ways to make it. And one, I don't want to call it complaint, but question we would get a lot is when I'm using this in a high-rise situation where safety is a factor and you don't want this falling off the pole, because normally it was a friction fit setting. Here's a pole tip. You lock it on there and all that's fine, but it's somewhat loose. And the reason is you have 2 different components. And so we had some people saying, I'm a little leery to use that on a high-rise scenario. And so basically some of the changes that were there were, it's now available to, again, using that, we have our little click lock system that goes in and then it locks in. So that actually is a secure thing, and that's not going to fall off your pole when you're working with it. And then again, if you want to still take that apart, this still comes apart. This is still on the pole as you're using it. You can use this in the friction fit and work with it. So it's a safety factor more than anything. Handles a little bit longer and a little bit more ergonomic, but for the most part, it was a safety factor for the click lock.
So for the high-rise window cleaners, maybe I don't remember the old version well enough. If you choose not to use it with a pole tip, the new version has the hole so you could attach like a tool bungee to it.
Sure. Yeah.
So you could use it with your hand and not drop it. Did the old version have that?
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
That's a requirement in certain states for OSHA things. You have to have some way to tether it.
Make it drop proof, yeah.
So you don't kill somebody on the way down. But
yeah.
So it definitely has that option as well. With this tool, it's a little tough to do both of those because you have 2 separate tools. So if you had 2 tethers connected, it'd kind of be like juggling. But try to keep all of that in mind.
And which actually, I'm glad I get to talk to you and ask you this. When Ettore is approaching new tools or improvements to existing tools, how do you balance the needs of like a traditional window cleaner and a high-rise window cleaner, and the different types of customers that will be using it?
Sure. I mean, that's actually a good question. Sometimes, I could go through, we have, 700 different products of different types. Sometimes we actually make
Quite a
tools
few.
that are specific to the high-rise window cleaner, because a guy doing a storefront or a house isn't going to necessarily care about a ledge tool that's this long that can get underneath an awning or something like that. So sometimes they're actually just separate tools that work with it. But in general, we design a tool, use it for a while. And again, as you guys all know, the history of Ettore Stacconi was a professional window cleaner, used his tools, then manufactured them and worked with it. We still have a number of people on staff that professionally clean windows that actually work here. So we actually make those tools, give it to them, go use this. We don't even tell them what it's for. Like, just go use this, tell us what you feel. At that point, when we feel like we've got it dialed down, we'll typically go out and, all over the place and find people that we just want honest feedback on how these tools work. Then we take them back and tweak them. So by the time you get them to sell, and again, I'd love to say, oh my gosh, everything's always perfect and we never have any problems. And we all know that's not true, but
that would be nice.
Yeah, but we try to go through all of that, and from there, and even because that's happened before too, where release something and after a short period of time, springs break or whatever, we quickly go back and adjust. And I know even in your tenure since you've been there, tools that we've done that with. But product development, especially in this industry, because window cleaners know their tools, they know how to use them, they know what they want, and sometimes they know what they want even before they know what they want. And so it's tough to please everyone because everybody's got their own specific idea of what they want to use. So
I think one way to address that, which is really cool, is how many different options a window cleaner has. So it's not like you have to make the one squeegee handle that services every single window cleaner. And Ettore has, over a dozen different ones that we carry at least.
Yeah.
So there really are a lot of options.
Right. And that's part of it. And so instead of coming out with, 10 new handles next year, because we already have 12 handles already, we try not to do that. We try to come out with some other stuff. So one question just popped in. Have you thought of having other colors in Backflip? And the answer to that is yes, we have. And yes, we've done that, typically under special edition kinds of things. It's kind of an interesting, tell you a little funny story. And I say this because we're a family and you guys, I'm sure you can even remember when we did this, but we were sitting around a product development meeting at one point in time, and we were just, trying to consolidate and make the tools make more sense. So, when you come out over the years, you look at all the different product lines, colors, handle configurations. It's like, okay, how can we do this and make this a little more family oriented or whatever? We came up with this great idea that, our buckets are safety yellow because it's a safety thing. So you want to make sure people know they're there, and we'll do this whole thing. And so our sidekick, which is basically, we call it a bucket on a belt, or there's a bunch of different names for them, but you wear it on your side and you have that, is technically a bucket. And let's keep those uniform and make all of our buckets the same. And you're smiling because you probably remember when we did this.
I do remember the yellow ones. I think we still have one around here somewhere.
Yeah. So in our brilliance, we decided, hey, we're gonna make these things yellow. It's gonna be a great thing. I swear we got death threats, bomb threats, like people threatened to come to our building and burn it down. It was amazing.
People are passionate. It's great.
Exactly that's the best word for it, over the fact that we changed our little sidekick thing from black to yellow. So changing a tool like this that's been out since 70s and 80s and changing the color, I mean, we're never going to change that. We might actually come out with a special edition kind of a thing. And, we learned that the hard way. In fact, we actually joke about that. Let's not make this another sidekick error, where we did something by mistake.
Hashtag sidekick. That's funny. It's whenever you go to make a change, there's some people that really want the change, and then there's other people that love the old version.
Right.
It's hard to change a beloved tool.
Right.
That people have just grown so accustomed to.
Yeah. So answering the question, we do periodically do what we call special editions, like our 80th year. We've we actually made several different products, and we sell products all over the world. So Japan is really big on, we want a commemorative whatever. So sometimes we do anodize our channels to make them like light blue or like a fluorescent green or something, just to have for that particular year. And we do that not real often, but we do that a lot, and we make a limited supply, and then that's available till we run out and that kind of a thing. So that's probably more what we would do than actually come up with 7 different colors of backflip, kind of a thing. So it's and then the other
make
thing
it
too,
special when it happens.
yeah, well, no, exactly. And then the other thing too, we do have a different version of this that we sell in the retail world, and it is slightly different. Handle's really not, but the rest of it is, that we sell in retail. That's kind of it's basically the Ettore blue. It's a blue color. So we do actually have a different color, and that's available to anybody, but it's more of a retail packaged item than it is for the professional.
Got it.
So yeah, so I don't know, why don't you talk a little bit about there's some questions we can do, but how's your business doing? Like, it's kind of a weird time for all of us. So why don't you kind of walk through that a little bit?
Yeah, it is a weird time, and we've talked to many window cleaners and sort of gotten the pulse of how things are going in the industry, and I'm sure you have as well. Obviously, end of March, April was a very tough time for the industry, for us, for Ettore, I'm sure. But we have really seen it pick up the latter half of May and June especially. It was very busy for us. And what was encouraging is we kind of looked at it to see, is this geographic oriented? Is it just certain parts of the country are picking back up? But it seems very across the board. We're not seeing like, oh, this part of the country is still dormant, but this part's picking back up. We've just seen everybody wants to go get their windows cleaned and needs to order some window cleaning equipment. So business has been really, really good through June. It's been really encouraging. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of the people watching this must feel similarly. What a relief it is to get back to work.
Yeah. And, interesting, just going back to that, like I said, we have window cleaners that we kind of work with a little bit to show different products and do video influencers, that sort of thing, that are part of that. And, initially, like we were talking about March and April, did a little bit offline. April was weird because we weren't sure what was going to happen. And towards about the 15th of the month or so, I remember reaching out to a few of the window cleaners that we use kind of around the country. And literally it's like, hey, I'd love to talk with you, but I'm actually really busy. So, so we'll have to get together like next week or so. That was kind of a clue for us that, hey, things are actually turning around a little bit.
Yeah, we had like during April and part of May, we were, because we were a lot slower, we were like, hey, let's spend some more time putting out content and working on videos, doing some live stuff like this. And we put out one of our like kind of training. We did a webinar basically with Hazen, our business development manager, and we had great attendance. It was probably one of the best attended online events we'd ever done. And we're like, oh, well, let's keep going. And a couple of weeks later, we did another one, and attendance was like, whoosh, just off the cliff. And we're like, we're going to take that as a good thing. People are busy again and doing work.
Yeah. No, and that's, that in over time, we've obviously seen the busyness curve, even in the news. You look around and all the different people doing things. So it's good to see, obviously, when window cleaners are working, the economy is at least in a general sense working, coming back to life, which is good to hear. So
totally. Let's see, looks like we have another question. Oh, and just a reminder to everybody, we are giving away 3 backflips. You get to choose what size you want, and if you want brass or stainless steel. And to enter, all you have to do is ask us a question. So keep those questions coming. Don't be shy. But we got a question from Jimmy, and he said, how about some high-end products like Mac tools, like Macintosh computers, wood handles, custom long-term use? Has Ettore thought about anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, these are, that's a little bit general. So I'll try to answer that as specific as I can with a general question. But so, again, we've been in the business a long time. we feel like, I don't know that anybody has a complete handle on the entire, marketplace as far as window cleaners, because everybody has kind of their own thing. But couple things that we do know about window cleaners are, they're passionate, driven people that tend to like to work alone. I mean, that's not, now I'm being very general, but they basically tend to do it. They also tend to be reasonably frugal. I say that and we have discussions quite a bit that, we have people that call us and they go, I've been using my Brass Squeegee since 1961. And there's no reason to update it. There's no reason to change it. Everything works really well. The rubber still fits. All that's really good. And I don't want a new tool. And we have many other handles that might actually like better. And oftentimes we even give it to them just for them to try, and they don't want to do it. And so to answer that, that was a general question. As far as high-end particular products, we do have some, like currently right now, the higher end cost-wise and quality-wise would be the high reach, pure water kinds of stuff. The high reach poles, I know you guys do a lot of business in that as well. And the poles can tend to be up to $1,700, $1,800, $2,500, depending on how tall they get. Those would definitely be high-end tools. And again, it gets really fragmented when you start to do different things. So it's what we've found when you make things. I mean, I guess I'm floundering a little because I'm trying to think of a specific thing to this question, but like probably the easiest way to describe that would be a product we came out, I don't know, it's probably been about 17 years ago, called the Contour, which is, the handle rotates both this way and that way, and then it also flexes this way, and then you can adjust it, lock it. It basically is kind of all the squeegee handles in one, and ends up being, I don't know, probably 4 times the cost of a regular handle. And the feedback we get all the time is it's an amazing tool, but man, I am not paying that much money for this thing.
Right.
And I know you can relate to that. It sells well, people love it that use it, but it's just one of those tools that, yeah, but I'm making money with this tool and I don't need to spend that much money to make the same amount, that's in there. So that's kind of our, again, it's feedback that we get from customers that do that to give us feedback of the tools that they want to use, but we also don't want to spend a lot of time, resources, and R&D on a product that there really isn't going to be much of a return on. That's sadly just business.
Yeah, I guess just to add on to that, the same thing basically, we, companies like Ettore and the things that we choose to stock and sell really are driven by customer demand. And, like Wayne said, there have to be enough customers that want to buy something. And those high-end things are so particular and so custom. We tend just to not see a lot of demand for those things. And you can see that even in like the hip bucket world, or like the sidekick or the bucket on the belt, like Wayne called it. Mm-hmm. We more generally call them hip buckets for whatever reason.
Sure. But you sell more than ours, and we're trying to change that. But it's
yeah, we were going for some general term we could use across the board. But there, for a long time there was a little selection of them that were all about the same price. And there in the last couple of years have come out some, I guess you would say, high-end ones that are at a much higher price point. And there are a select few customers that want those things, but the Sidekick and some of the other ones in that price range continue to be by far the most popular.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's there. I got a couple questions here that we kind of had. I'm not even sure where they came from, but how often do you change rubber?
Oh, and by the way, if you just saw that, this was Linda, my mother, also one of the co-owners and founders of ABC.
Yeah, well, cool. That's part of why we do this. We can put faces with names. So
that's right. And in a different setting, you might even see my dog running around.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's definitely. So let me do the whole thing. How often we change a rubber? And that's kind of a it depends question for sure. It depends on how much you're using it. You sell them directly, but what we describe to people is you have some of the high-rise people, and I know we're going to have somebody on here in a few minutes here that is a high-rise window cleaner that can shed some light to this. But if they're up on a scaffolding or a rope or a bozeman's chair or whatever, they're dangling off the side of a building, they don't want to carry a bunch of equipment with them, so they try to carry what they need when they're working with it. And so in general, again, what we hear is so from basically 8 in the morning till about noon, they use one side of the rubber. Or I'm sorry, 8 in the morning or so, depending on when they go to work. Let's say the first couple of hours, they have one side of the blade, the rubber blade that's here. They're just using one side. At about 10 o'clock, they flip it over. At noon, they go to lunch, they come back, and then they replace the rubber and change it. So that would be, 2 new pieces of rubber every day. And then you've got, we go into the consumer side is, I didn't even know you could change the rubber,
Right. Yeah, I remember my dad.
All in between,
Yeah, my dad always had this story back when we were smaller and had our retail shop of this guy that came in and he dropped his Ettore Squeegee on the counter and he'd been using it for years. And he's like, hey, can you replace the piece of rubber in here? And he'd never changed it.
Yeah.
And then he was upset that we only sell rubber by the dozen and not individual pieces.
Yeah.
Because a 12 pack of rubber is a lifetime supply for him.
Right. Well, no, and it also goes back to the thing that we said earlier. For that guy, a high-end window cleaning tool is not in his cards. Like that guy's not going to be buying that because he doesn't even want to change the rubber in the squeegee. It's like that. That's kind of what we have there.
Let's see. Oh, I see another question. Are you coming out with any new water-fed poles? That's okay. From Christopher.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of Christophers out there. So as you guys, or maybe you don't know, there's a lot of window cleaning supply companies and or fishing pole supply companies and or pressure water. I mean, I could go down the list of companies that make water-fed things. Mm-hmm. And to give you a little bit of history of Ettore, I'll answer the question specifically, but we actually kind of pioneered the whole pure water thing years ago. Started in Europe because in certain parts of Europe, their OSHA basically kind of eliminated the use of ladders above 6 feet. So they had to, in order to clean taller buildings than that, they had to use poles. And so we came out with that. And so, basically what's happened is, we've come out with a pole. A couple weeks later, somebody else would copy that and make it out of their garage and then do that. And then somebody else would copy it. And then, I don't know, maybe one of our customers would make their own. I'm not sure, but it's, that was a joke, but there's a lot of different tools out there that are part of it. And, pole is a pole. It's meant to, extend things differently higher, whatever you're using, whether it's pure water, whether it's squeegee tools or whatever the thing is. And with a pole, it's compromised between weight and flexibility. So you want the pole as rigid as possible, but you also don't want it to weigh 500 pounds. And right. So in order to make it really rigid, you have to make it stronger and stiffer, which makes it heavier. And in order to make it really light, then it tends to be really flexible. And so I'm going to go with probably 5 years ago, we just decided, we're not going to play this chase your tail game where we come out with something new, somebody copies us, does whatever. So we patented our own locks, patented our own tools. I could, in this form, I'm not going to go too detailed in what we've done, made those directly. And our objective at this point is to make the lightest, strongest pole on the market. And we're going to continue to work with that and using different carbon fiber technology, aluminum to protect things, work with things to work with it. So 5 years ago, we kind of came out with our new Pro Plus water-fed pole. And we've made, in the last 5 years, we probably made about 15 different alterations and changes to that, as we talked about earlier, to make it better to what we're basically doing. And so we're going to stick with this for a while until there's some new technology out there that makes us able to make a lighter, more rigid pole. So that's basically, I'm sure you can jump in there with some things as well.
Yeah, well, the water-fed world is one that changes a lot, even more than traditional stuff, for sure. And it doesn't surprise me at all that you've had so many alterations along the way. But yeah, I mean, some of the underlying technology, like the carbon fiber, if there's not a reason to update a new one, why make everybody start stocking a whole new set of parts and all of that. But of course, when there is a good reason, like new technology that can make it stiffer and lighter, then let's do it.
Well, by all means, and that's definitely happening. For sure, that's there. And so we basically, that's what we're going to do. And if there are 20 other ones out there that compete with us, then so be it. We'll just be who we are, and that's what we're going to do. We're not going to try to copy that and make 10 different types and try to capture every marketplace. It's just not worth it to carry that many different products.
So we actually have a guest that's going to hop on with us, and it looks like he's ready. We've got Jimmy Keithley from Outlook Window Cleaning in Utah that we work with quite a bit. Looks like he's hopping on right now. He runs a company that does traditional window cleaning, water-fed window cleaning, and high-rise. So he does a little bit of everything. He'll have a fresh perspective for some of these questions. Hey, Jimmy, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing really well. Thanks
Good.
for hopping
Sorry
on
about
with us.
that.
Oh, well, that's no problem. We had you on hold, so you get that. You got to do something while you're standing there.
Yeah. I'm multitasking. My wife says I'm not very good at that. So, but we're we're cleaning windows today, so it's a great opportunity to kind of check in with you guys and talk about product.
Great.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. I'm not sure if there's a better spot, but we'll make it work.
We just ordered like 200 pieces. Hold on. I'm on the job site today. Is that better?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, we'll just make it work. We'll
make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Jimmy, a question I had for you, and again, if anybody has questions about anything related to Ettore, ABC, window cleaning, feel free to drop them on here. And again, we are giving away 3 backflips, and the way to enter is simply to put a question in. So feel free to ask any questions you have. But a question I have for you, Jimmy, is when you're doing your traditional low-rise work and you're doing your high-rise work, do you have a different set of equipment for those two things, or do you use the same set of equipment for both?
It's a different set of equipment. In fact, I'll show you right now. Let me put my screen around. So when we do like today, we're working on like a house, right? And so we have our ladders, and then what we normally use is 14-inch rubber on our houses, and so we've got like our bulk stash of rubber there, and then we have our bucket on a belt, and our sectional ladders, and then we usually use like a brass smaller channel system because it finishes a little bit cleaner on the edges of houses. You don't have like the metal clean edges that you do on most commercial jobs. You've got like wood frames and things like that. So it needs a little bit more detail. And that's where like our 14-inch rubber on our brass channels, which is what we've been using for the last like 30 years, works great. We've got Andrew right here. He's cleaning a window.
So this might be a tough question for you, Jimmy.
And
we got a little bit of lag. I'm not sure if you can hear me, Jimmy, but I was going to ask you what your favorite Ettore tool is.
See that. Go ahead.
Yeah, what's your favorite Ettore tool?
My favorite Ettore tool is the brass channel.
Classic.
I mean, I know, but it's tried and true. And this, this is
That's
what
the one.
I use this and clean thousands and thousands of windows every week with that 14-inch channel. I have used the wide body ones, and I like those for commercial work. but man, just the brassies for residential, you just can't go wrong there.
True, yeah. It's tried and true. It's been around forever. Does a great job. How often do you change your rubber? That's a question Wayne and I were discussing a little earlier. But I always love to hear everyone's individual answer.
Yeah, so we go through a lot because a lot of these like log cabin homes or lodges or hotels up in the resorts have wood frames, and so they tears up the rubber a little bit faster than normal jobs. So sometimes we'll change our rubber out twice a job. But that is really what separates you from a janitor, right? Because you're not leaving streets, and it's a professional looking job. And so it's such a minimal expense to keep you looking a whole lot better than your competitors. So I think that's really a differentiating thing between us and amateurs.
Yeah. And I think that's a really, really good point because, as I was mentioning before you came on, we have consumers, we're talking to our retail buyers and that sort of thing. And they're, we need to carry all this, we know you sell a lot of rubber. We need to carry, all these different things. And we've been doing this long enough that every time we do focus groups, you talk to people and they went, oh, wow, I didn't even know you could replace the rubber. So you get, and sometimes these are the janitors that are part of that. And so, those are the competitors that are out there that you're working against that are, I bought this like 6 months ago and I'm still using it, whatever. And that's going to make a difference when you get a flaw in the rubber, you get streaks. That's just what happens.
Yeah, it's such a differentiating factor. So, we'll do other things like if our corners get hashed up, we'll cut our rubber and sometimes reuse it like on an 8 or a 10-inch piece of rubber and try to be, responsible that way. But, I've tried the other rubbers and I don't know what the recipe is in Ettore, in your rubber. Is it Ettore or Ettore?
Either way, but we
I think
here
it's
call
Ettore, actually.
Yeah, that's right. Here we actually, the family calls it Ettore.
Okay, I thought I had to have an Italian accent to say it, but
Well,
and you can't argue with the family.
Yeah, no, that's because we've had this discussion, and that's kind of where so I guess if you want to put an Italian accent, it would be Ettore. Which would be, I don't speak Italian, but that's what you would do it. But all of us who speak English, that's how we say it. So.
Well, I just haven't found like a rubber that is comparable to that. And no disrespect to other types of rubber, but with us, we're working in like extreme heat and extreme cold. And the recipe for that rubber, you don't get your little vacations that you get with other rubber. You don't have to like change your rubber. So, cause we'll clean windows when it's like below 0, it's really cold. And then like today it's, in upper 90s, and we don't have to like go from a dense rubber to a hard rubber. It's just, we use the same thing every time and it's just consistent. And so that's what I love about it.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. If I can chime in there, because I know in a previous discussion like this, we had that somebody asked, why don't we have, hard rubber and soft rubber for weather? That was basically the question. You just kind of answered it. And, basically there's a number of reasons. I don't necessarily have to repeat them, but in general, we search for and have spent, you asked, I don't know what's in the rubber. Well, I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you because that's like a guarded secret with a company. So we can't, but we have spent generations literally looking for that formula that is soft enough in cold temperatures, but not melting in hot temperatures to be able to fluctuate between both. And for us, having two different formulas would confuse the marketplace. It wouldn't be as good. And I mean, and it's not even an argument. We even hear this from our competitors. We make the best rubber and we're going to continue to make the best rubber. So that's kind of where we are with that.
Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
One question I had, I think maybe Wayne can answer best, and we get this sometimes from our customers, is what's the best way to dispose of rubber once you've used it? Is there a way to recycle it? or is there a less bad way to throw it away?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We have a customer we work with and also supplier in England. That I will answer your question. This is kind of an interesting thing, and there is they have a national policy on how you recycle and throw things away, and having these discussions there. Okay, so we have this product, and what you need to do is you need to work with your federal whatever the job title is in England that does the recycling and throwing away, and work with them and convince them that our product is what's going to happen. And the problem in this country is we have no federal refuge person. It's different by city, county, state, federal thing, Indian reservation, you name it, it's completely different. And so we don't have a particular program on recycling, although obviously we would take it back if somebody wanted to give it back just to make sure, and we would definitely recycle it and reuse it again. We don't really have a program for that, but our recommendation is, follow the guidelines of the location that you're in when you're disposing of that. And every city, county, wherever you are, has a guideline of what's allowed to be recycled, what's not allowed to be recycled. Rubber is definitely a recyclable item, so you can definitely recycle that, but it depends on where you are and how they do it.
Is there anything special somebody would have to do to find out if their area takes it? Do they just say, do you recycle rubber, or do they need to be more specific
local,
than that?
the easiest way, and again, I don't know every area in the country, I apologize for that, but like in our area, you would contact,
how could you?
you could contact your local garbage company and just say, I have some things to recycle. Do you have a list of, how you dispose of these particular items? And that is available. I know it's online everywhere, but community by community, they're going to have their specific requirements for that as well.
Gotcha. Let's see.
Hey, can I ask another question?
Absolutely, that's what you're here for.
Please.
And just on product, you guys might have covered this earlier. I couldn't watch the Facebook Live and this at the same time on my phone.
Sure.
But the new spring-loaded handle,
right?
Is that designed so that you can finish on deep ledges and be able to finish clean on deep ledges, or what was the
Sure. Yeah. So you're referring to, we actually referenced that product, but we didn't talk about what it does earlier. That's called the Contour. That was a product that we were talking about before. So the design of that particular product was, it wasn't so much like what you're saying, can you do all those things? That the purpose of that particular product is we took all of our handles, the 0 degree, the super system thing that has the handle. I don't have one in front of me, so I can't show you, but the handle wobbles back and forth. It also adjusts that way, and basically designed a product that does all of those without having to change out and change your handle. So it will be a 0 degree. It will close out for you. You can lock it in place in both directions, so you can use it as a regular tool. You can hang it on your belt. You can do anything you want with it, or you can just do one thing. It's up to you to use, but you don't have to have multiple tools to be able to do all of the jobs that you have to do. You can do them all in one. As far as the doing ledges, I hate to use the word it depends all the time, but ledges are different everywhere. You can have deep ledges, shallow ledges. You can work with that whole thing. And so often, if you have something that's really defined as a ledge that you have to work with, you're probably going to have to get a ledger tool that's designed to be sticking out far enough to do it. Although the Contour will do that, it'll lock in that position, but it only sticks out that far. So you can't, if you have a ledge I can't see if I do it in the video. If you have a ledge that's this much, that's not going to work. So you got to have, and you can have a pole that'll do it, but again, that doesn't always work for you if you're behind a bush or whatever when you're doing that.
Well, I like them. I like the concept behind them. I'm getting used to it. It's a little different with that spring, the pressure you got to put on there.
Yeah, to lock it out. And then you probably know this already, but you can adjust that pressure tighter or looser if you didn't already know that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so you can, it doesn't go way loose, but you can loosen it up.
Yeah, there's that like little twisty dial on it for adjusting that, right?
Yeah, yeah, that works with that.
Well, it's nice to see you guys like engineering things that are progressing that. And I think I had mentioned it in the question, you guys probably addressed it, but it seems like a lot of companies just cater to janitorial type window cleaning and not specialize, you know, not actual professionals that do this job day in, day out. Because you see with other industries, they have like kind of a higher, you know, grouping of products that are for people that do this day in and day out. And there's those little nuances that they consider in engineering those products that make it, you know, easier for us.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And we touched on this a little bit. And Jacob, I know you're in the same exact boat we're in, but you know, Ettore Backflip was a window cleaner. He made tools for the window cleaner. It wasn't for anybody else. It was literally just people like you that do this every day. And although we do make products for other uses, they're basically the same thing. And you know, we get asked all the time, like, why aren't you guys going into mop buckets and doing a bunch of other different products? And it's like, you know, we're true to the heritage of the company, and the family wants to keep it that way. We are window cleaners designing tools for window cleaners. And if people that aren't window cleaners want to use them, that's fine. But that's the tool we make is for window cleaners. And that's who we want to be, and that's who we're going to stay. And I know, Jacob, you guys, your whole company was designed around supplying tools for window cleaners. And I know you sell other things too, but
you can tell from our company name, we're all about window cleaning.
Right.
Yeah, totally. There's a lot of value in focusing on something in particular and doing it really well. You know, and a lot of companies are trying to be everything to everyone. And I really appreciate a manufacturer like Ettore that's like, okay, we make window cleaning tools. We think of window cleaners first when we design these things, you know, and it really shows, like you said, Jimmy, when the pro is actually out there using it, those tools are just so much better than the broadly designed tools that you might find out there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's there. So there's a couple questions that kind of ties into what we're talking about here. Is there going to be an Ettore ledge ease for the wide body? And so speaking in the terms for our tools, our wide body is basically called our super channel. I don't have one laying here, so I can't show you, but it's just a thicker channel designed to be a wider. You can go up to 36 inches wide. And to answer your question, simply all of our handles, every single one of them can be retrofitted with it's basically what we call a super channel kit, basically, that the screws are a little bit longer, the springs are a little bit longer, and so the channel, it allows it to lock in. So our current ledge ease product will fit that. You just have to get the retrofit kit. It's in our catalog. You guys sell it, I'm sure. In fact, I know you do. That's part of that, and you know, or you can order it directly that way. That's already made for that kind of a thing. It's up to you. So we currently do. Was the other one. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jimmy. You were in the middle of asking a question.
I wasn't. I was just saying it just like the brass clips, like that works, you know, and then you see like these other companies that don't use those, and it's just like your product that you come out with when you're cleaning a window isn't as good unless you have you know, a proper brass clip, and that would seem to be, you know, no reason to change those. yeah, there, you know, and for another forum, because we're not so much getting into too much technical, but we're one of the only ones. There are a few out there that still use clips, but we do that on purpose, and it isn't because, you know, we want to make it that way. It actually it puts tension on the rubber to the degree that allows you to have streak-free results, and as opposed to having it loose and flopping. So those clips are on there not because we just think we're special. It actually does form a purpose. You know, that's definitely part of that. So another question, which it's a different guy. Gabe asks, do we have any plans to design a fully, truly 0-degree squeegee handle? And that's kind of a subjective question, but to answer, the 0-degree handle actually is in our
R&D at the moment to be tweaked.
Oh,
So we're
cool.
looking at all of those kinds of things. And I say tweaked, it isn't going to be, a parade going through town about this new product that we have. It's just basically we're going to work on improving it. That's what we mean by that. And so we're looking at that if there's a need to have a different angle or something there that we feel from the industry, from people like you, Jimmy, that give us feedback, then that's what we're looking at. So that is actually in the process as we speak. So we may, to answer your question, I can't say it directly because we're still in the process, but we may end up changing it to fit what Gabe is asking for, or we may decide based on our research that we don't need to. It just depends on what the market shows and what window cleaners are asking about.
Yeah, because we have to retrofit your competitor's van, 0 degree to work. We have to grind off the teeth on the back of theirs to get it to work with, other professional channels, because they don't make it that way, and it's
right.
kind of stupid. But
Yeah.
And I don't know what's behind it, if there's licensing or issues as far as patents go. But yeah, that would be awesome to see something like that happen.
Yeah. To answer your question, I wish it was as simple as that, but usually what it boils down to, and we try not to be that, but we manufacture things too, but usually we're going to make it that way, so it forces you that you can't use anybody else's tools with it. You have to use ours. That's usually why those things are made that way. And again, we actually try to do the opposite, because we realize people use our rubber in other people's channels, and we test them. We know that. And so we try to make sure that all of our rubber continues to fit in our competitors' channels. And our competitors even come to us, I won't mention specific names, and even say that, like, you need to let us know if you're going to make any changes, because we make our channels knowing that people aren't going to be using our rubber in them anyway. So working with that. And that, it goes back to our original thing about how kind of a family thing this is. I mean, we are all doing this together, and we know what each other strengths are, because we've known each other for years. So it's a good thing.
Let's see. Another question from Gabe. He says he loves the golden sleeve, which I can attest is one of our best-selling sleeves, and we always get amazing feedback on it. Any thoughts on using it as a cover for a wide microfiber duster?
Okay, so I'm assuming, meaning like using the actual material and making like a microfiber mop duster hat or something like that.
That's how I read that question.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure we're doing that kind of a thing. Yes and no, I guess. As I mentioned, our focus in this company, although we have other products, is window cleaning. And so, like, for example, the Golden Glove, just to give you a little bit about washers, the purpose, and Jimmy, you can chime in, you use them every day. So if we misspeak, please tell me, because that's what we're here for. But, the purpose of the scrubber is, it's two things. One, obviously, to actually clean the surface of the window, but it's also to absorb a certain amount of solution, water, soap, whatever that is, have the cleaning things, whether it's a scrub thing on the end, fit the tools that you're basically working with, and overall allow you to not have to keep going back to the bucket and refueling every time you do a window. So that's the purpose. And the Golden Glove is kind of one of those sweet spots where we designed it to hold as much fluid and water as possible without like leaking all over your clothes while you're using it, not making it too heavy, but also absorbing the dirt that comes off the window. So I mean, that sounds, but I mean, that isn't, we don't just go somewhere and go, hey, I like that color cloth, let's just use that. We literally have thread count that we look at when we do the quality control in this. We make sure all of that's part of it. So we have used these products. I mean, to give you an example of that, we actually make a paint applicator that's used for like doing hardwood floors and that sort of thing. Has nothing to do with window
I didn't know
cleaning.
that. Interesting.
Yeah, that's more on the retail side, but we actually use the same microfiber for that, because it actually turns out it holds a lot of paint when you're putting it down, and then lays it down in a method. So answering his question, yeah, we do. We don't have any specific plans to do it on a mop, but now that you mention it, we can certainly look into that and see if that actually is one of the applications for it. Not anything we've tested for, though. So,
a really good application for these sleeves. I don't know if I should say really good, but we actually have used a a Golden Glove before as an eraser for our whiteboards around the
Right.
office.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean,
it works great.
Yeah, they do. We get calls periodically where people are like, hey, can we use that product on, fill in the blank? And it's like, we have no idea. That
You're
is
like,
not even close to what we thought about when we made it.
right? You're like, sure, why not?
Yeah,
Let us know how it goes.
And, and this is the kind of feedback why we love these kinds of things, because we hear this stuff. Going back to the rubber, because we've talked about that a lot. Are you going to come out with any colored rubbers? So again, without divulging formulas and having the private investigators out, doing different things. So so those two terms, you cannot make colored rubber because rubber doesn't color. So when you're buying, and I know there are competitors out there have different color rubber for different kinds of things. It's not rubber, it's mostly silicone. So that question in general, are we going to come out with colored rubber? The answer is no. We have Ettore rubber. We do use in certain applications, mostly janitorial, where we do use silicone rubber in even our squeegee blades, but in other kinds of things. And we do, in fact, have some different colored rubber that are part of that. So without getting too deep into are those any good or whatever, but if you see a colored rubber, it's not rubber. It's a different kind of material.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. Just a reminder to
Pirelli
everyone.
Pirelli tires only come in black, right?
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, and every once in a while you'll see some that are different colored, like when they're doing different events. Sometimes they're painted, but if they aren't painted, it's not rubber. It's some other material. So Jacob, you were saying something?
Yeah, no, I was just going to remind everyone we are giving away a few of the Backflip squeegees. To enter, all you have to do is ask a question, and then we'll randomly pick 3 people and reach out to you, get your address, and send you whichever one you prefer. And I think we have time for probably a couple more questions. We just got one from Stroud Green, window cleaning. My squeegee is streaking. I don't know if it's technique or bad rubber. How often should I change my rubber? We already touched on this a little bit earlier in the video. I guess ABC's sort of tongue-in-cheek answer is if your squeegee is streaking, then it's time to change your rubber. Yeah, I don't know if either of you have anything to add. Or Jimmy, maybe, is there a way to tell, like, is it my rubber or is there something else going on?
I was going to say too, that's the nice thing about the Golden Glove is sometimes it's your applicator that is causing the streaks, is because your applicator maybe is a inferior product and it's shedding. You're getting little fibers that are coming through there. And that can cause some streaking as well. And that's one of the nice things about the Golden Glove too, is you can tell it's well made. I have one in front of me here that's a little more inferior, and just working with this one, it just irritates me because it sheds all the time, and then I get streaks. So that can be some of the thing. But yeah, the rubber still is the major thing that affects your streaks.
Sure. And and again, he's not sure if it's technique or bad rubber. If you have good rubber and I mean, I can't say you can't streak with good rubber, but you'd have to work at it because it's effortless, and the rubber will take whatever's off of there and won't let you allow streaks in there. So it's probably not technique. If you have bad rubber, again, I'm going to go on an assumption that you just bought it, you put it in, it's brand new, and you're getting streaking. It is possible, it's rare, but it is possible that there might be a flaw in the rubber. And I know we've said this before and everybody's still surprised, but we hand inspect every piece of rubber that leaves this building to make sure it doesn't have a flaw in it. Doesn't mean that we don't make mistakes because we're not perfect. But so, couple things. If you think that might be the case, take it back or contact where you got it, or you can even just call our customer service at Ettore, or even go online, ettore.com, or even in Facebook and ask, and we can, work through that to see. I mean, if there's a problem, we'll replace the rubber. I know you guys will do that too, Jacob. So that's not a problem. But if you're getting streaking kind of in a general sense, like Jim said, make sure you're not putting something on the window that's going to cause it, because if you get a hair or something on there, you can see a line. But
Right.
in general, it shouldn't be streaking. And if it is, you either need a new rubber or you need to replace it, one or the other.
One other thing too is sometimes your channel may be bent, and that's the nice thing about having new channels. You know, from time to time, you get a new channel, and you realize, oh, I've been pushing so hard because my other channel was bent. So that can also affect that too.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting that you say that. You had mentioned that you prefer the brass channel and handle when you're working with it, and you know, this is all a preference. There's some people, you know, again, Jacob, you could jump into this too, but some people that prefer stainless, some people that prefer aluminum. You know, by far our number one selling item, like by far, is our 18-inch brass squeegee.
Oh,
and,
totally.
And often we're baffled as okay, there's lots of other choices out there. Why the brass squeegee? And almost every time the answer is, well, one, I've been using it forever and I'm used to it. But secondly, you know, we hear things like that. Like if you're on a scaffold or a ladder or whatever, you drop it on the cement and it bends. It's pliable enough to bend it back.
You can
now,
bend
it doesn't
it back,
always work depending on how bad it is. But if you do that to a stainless steel squeegee and it bends, it's over. Like there's nothing you can do with that. It's going to be tweaked and you're going to have to change that completely. So that's one of the benefits of brass.
Well, cool, guys. This has been fun.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, us too. Thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate all your feedback. You probably need to get back to it.
Yeah, we got to get back to work here. You can tell we're hard at work here. Sun's shining, and so window cleaners got to make some money, right?
That's right. Yeah. So it looks like when you're done, you can go dip in the pool. So good for you.
Cool.
Cannonball.
That's right, man.
That's right.
Yeah. Thanks, Jimmy. Always good to chat with you.
Yeah, you too, guys. Thanks again.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Let's see. And then maybe we could get through one last question.
Yeah.
Looks like Summit Window Cleaning said, how do I choose which angle handle to use? Obviously, there's a lot of them out there, and we've discussed the 0 degrees. A lot of the handles out there are 30 degrees. Some of them, like the Contour, are spring loaded, and you can sort of adjust those things. What would you say to that, Wayne?
Yeah. So the angle at which the rubber hits the window is that's where the rubber meets the road. That's what matters the most when you're cleaning a window. And so, you know, obviously, you know, like Jacob was saying, there's several different choices of what's there, but it all boils down to what windows are you cleaning and what angle do you need. And all of our handles, with the exception of the 0 degree ledges and the Contour, which adjusts, are all the same degree angle, because that's basically, so all of our handles have the same degree. So it to keep the squeegee blade right exactly where it needs to be when it touches the window, that's basically what you need. And if you change that up, if you took our handle and then went to a 30 degree, for example, your angle is going to be different, and more than likely you're going to make mistakes because you're not used to, you know, it's kind of changing things up in the middle, you know, like a golfer. So here, I'm going to hand you a different handle. Now you got a different swing. Chances are you're not going to do as well with it. So that's kind of a personal use. It's not as important so much as the angle as it is you using the right angle. So if the handle is 30 degrees and you're used to it and you get the blade exactly where you want it and you're comfortable using that, then that handle works for you. If that's not what you're used to and you want to have it be consistent across the board, then you ought to stick with more traditional angle, which is what we're using. So that's kind of a general thing, but it's.
And what's the traditional angle?
You know, I don't have that right.
I guess I was obviously incorrectly thinking that was 30 degrees.
Yeah, it's not. I think it's 21 or 19. I can.
Okay.
What I'll do, I'll post this on Facebook afterwards. I don't want to misquote it live while we're talking.
Like I just did.
Yeah.
I would definitely I would agree with that. We really regard angle except in some specialty uses like your pole work, finishing with stuff in the way, and
Right.
the 0 degree comes in handy. But for your general use, we really regard angle as a personal preference. And once you get used to one, unless you've got some good reason, you might as well stick with it and just get your technique perfect with that one.
Right. Yeah, and then, as we were chatting earlier in this discussion, that's the nature of window cleaners. If you've been doing window, like Jimmy, I didn't ask him how long he's been doing it, but it looks like just by watching him, he's been doing it a long time. He's not apt to go in and go, hey, I know I have this new thing that's going to teach me a completely different technique. That's not going to happen, because that's not what he's just, I know how to do a job. I know how to make money doing my job. I know how my customers are happy with what I do, and I'm not going to change that up because some guy has a new handle that they think looks cool. That's generally not what's going to happen.
Right.
So that's good. Well, you have any final closing comments here? We don't need to take this too long.
No, one last comment. I just would like to say Ettore is a really great company to work with, not just because their tools are so good. Their customer service is awesome. They ship their orders really fast. There's hardly ever a problem with any order we receive. So just thank you, Wayne, for excuse me, for you guys doing such a good job. Hope you keep it up.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. And again, I don't keep repeating the same story, but I can say the same thing with you guys. It's been a partnership, a family. You guys are kind of an arm and a leg of what we do, and we appreciate what you guys are doing. And we never, it's partly why we do this. We never hesitate whatsoever when somebody asks, who would you recommend we buy from? It's like, by all means, ABC. That's
man,
right off the top of the thing. And we sell to other people as well, but it's we're family. We've been working together forever. As again, we started our conversation.
Yeah.
In the morning.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And look forward to working with your kids as well. So whenever they happen to come on board.
Yeah, they're at the age where I could maybe start using, I've got a daughter. She's at the age I could start using her maybe in some exploitive ways with photography or something.
Sure.
Just how I made my start.
Yeah.
But down the line, she'll be placing POs.
Yeah, no, that's what's great about this family business. It's we're all family, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So with that, I guess we can call it an afternoon, and appreciate your time and effort, and look forward to coming out of this, whatever we call this, and history will rewrite whatever we call this period of time. But I look forward to being done with it, as I'm sure you are too.
Indeed, yeah. And thanks everyone who hopped on and asked questions. And we will be reaching out to 3 of you soon to send you your backflips that you won.
Perfect. Great. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Have
Thanks,
a good
Wayne.
afternoon. Bye.